Welcome back to Primetime News and a special welcome to viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com. A call is being made for a fresh approach to the country's long-running beach access debate. The issue continues to raise questions about who can reach the island's shoreline. Kemon White reports.
For many Jamaicans, reaching the sea can be an unpleasant experience. Huey lecturer in marine sciences and academic coordination Dr. Camila Trench says changing that will take cooperation.
I think the current government needs to stop owning this beach access issue so much because both the party in power, the JLP, and the opposition party, PNP, have presided over this beach access issue for decades, and both of them have done poorly in regards of this. I'm not so sure when Jamaica adopted this model of privatized beaches before I was an adult, obviously. It's something that I've seen. I'm from St. Anne, so I know where a couple of the free or public beaches are, but majority of the coastline is privatized.
Dr. Trench says with much of the coastline marked by cliffs and rugged terrain, the focus should be on creating clear routes to the beaches.
But there must be easements that we can put between two properties. For example, I know that there are some hotels in the area that have put an access road between the two hotel properties. It is possible, and the government is serious about it. They can do it, because ultimately, all of us have to be answered to the government of Jamaica. If they're really serious and stop politicizing it and making it about friends and company and who you're good with or who you're bad with, we can find solutions to make easements to the beaches, access routes to the beaches.
Dr. Trench points to Negril, where pathways through properties provide access to the shoreline. He says that approach could work elsewhere.
If anybody in Jamaica has been to Negril, there are many paths to the beach. So whether you're staying at a hotel in Negril, you can access the beach from that hotel. And if you're not staying at a hotel, there are a few paths that you can walk between properties to the beach. And even the property owners, you go to a Margaritaville or you go to any other places along the beach, they don't stop people from walking through. They walk into the beach. I mean, there is some level of tourist harassment, and that has to be dealt with. It is a serious issue. But really and truly, if we make it part of our culture that we have open beach access, that harassment culture will go.
Kemon White, TVJ News.
The Caribbean Examination Council has sought to clarify concerns that its new Caribbean Targeted Education Certificate (CTEC) qualification could lower academic standards and disadvantage candidates. It comes amid public concerns about the structure, integrity, and competitiveness of the new assessment model. Alia Bryant reports.
In 2024, the region's overall performance for mathematics was 36%, that jumped a fraction to 39% last year and continued gradually climbing to 42% for 2026. While the Caribbean's performance continues to improve, numeracy figures remain a major concern for officials. CTEC is one part of CXC's response to that challenge and will later be expanded to other subject areas, including English A. It's why CXC has sought to make it clear that the shift towards a more flexible modular learning should not be mistaken for a lowering of the bar. Registrar and Chief Executive Officer Dr. Wayne Wesley says the CSEC mathematics modules are derived from the same syllabus, assess the same prescribed learning outcomes, and are governed by the same quality assurance principles. He says what differs is not the standard, but the pathway through which candidates progress. Concerns have also been raised about the danger of an all-or-nothing assessment experience, particularly in mathematics. In response, Dr. Wesley says CTEC allows learners to build achievement progressively, since students could have mastered substantial portions of the syllabus, but leave the examination room without any formal recognition. As for questions about the importance of labor market signaling and public understanding, the CXC registrar says the examinations body will continue to strengthen stakeholder guidance, transcript design, employer communications, and certification documentation. That, according to him, will ensure there is no ambiguity regarding what each credential represents. Another concern that has been raised relates to knowledge retention. But CXC contends that as students progress, they are naturally reinforcing earlier knowledge which helps guard against the pass and forget challenge. It says it will continue to monitor learner progression and use evidence to refine support mechanisms where necessary. It adds that public debate about the future of Caribbean education is a good thing, and it remains committed to transparency, evidence-based decision-making, stakeholder engagement, and the maintenance of academic standards.
That report there from Nakinski Robinson. Now, human rights group Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, is calling for urgent reforms to several key areas of the justice system. Executive Director Michael Jackson raised concerns about prisons and police lockups while addressing a function in Manchester recently.
Jamaica's leading justice advocacy group, Jamaicans for Justice, is urging the country's leaders to take a hard look at issues it says continues to undermine the justice system. Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, Michael Jackson, says conditions inside the nation's prisons and police lockups remain dire. She says her organization continues to witness insanitary conditions, pest infestations, and disease outbreaks, concerns that have also been repeatedly documented by the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM, and other groups.
Detainees, no matter how much we feel about serious crimes in the country, many are presumed innocent. That's the bedrock of our Constitution. But when you're presumed innocent and you still sleep on floors, relieve yourself in your cells, and suffer conditions that no civilized society should tolerate, we have to ask ourselves, what type of society do we want in Jamaica?
Ms. Jackson is also calling for greater scrutiny of the process by which officials approve and sign search warrants.
But we're signing search warrants that have implications for people's liberty, but the search warrants are outdated, ineligible, or applied under incorrect legislation. Remember, I mentioned earlier that we had a bail act that came into effect in November 2023, and it speaks to things like pre-charge bail. This is before anyone is charged with a crime, and the state has a reasonable suspicion, but needs time to investigate. These are serious human rights implications.
Meanwhile, turning to the recent controversy involving the Caribbean Court of Justice CCJ, Ms. Jackson says the situation should not erode public confidence in the regional court.
Not all of us can afford an attorney. Even if you were able to afford an attorney, there's no guarantee that you will get a visa, the defendant nor the attorney, to go to London. Outside of that, the benefit of the CCJ is one where there is the strength of jurisprudence, so that Caribbean constitutionalism is one that we cannot underestimate.
Aaliyah Bryant, TVJ News.
As drought and rising energy costs put greater pressure on farmers, solar power is helping to strengthen Jamaica's irrigation system. A new solar installation system at Dove House, Manchester, is expected to cut energy costs and keep water flowing to farmers through prolonged dry spells. Details in this report.
Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says the multi-million-dollar solar power investment is part of a wider push to make local farming more resilient as dry conditions intensify.
But the reality is that it doesn't make sense we cry about it. We have to find ways to confront it. One of the ways to confront it is to use the energy that is being provided by the sun to help reduce the costs of providing the water that you need in this critical time. And that is why we are here today, doing just that, using the changing climate to our benefit.
The Dove House solar system is expected to cut reliance on the Jamaica Public Service grid by more than 30%, and in doing so, help the National Irrigation Commission reduce its energy costs.
So what we're doing now by the installation of the 150 kilowatt solar photovoltaic system, which has 256 bifocal photovoltaic panels, each rated at about 585 watts, which is grid tied to give us that combined capacity of 150 kilowatts, is that we will generate 276 megawatt hours of renewable energy annually, reducing our dependency on the JPS system by over 30%.
The project is expected to save about $14.8 million annually and pay for itself in roughly 3 years. It will also support some 457 farmers cultivating 437 hectares of land, with crops ranging from scallion and thyme to tomato, pepper, melon, and cauliflower.
Additionally, it will save us 181 tons of carbon dioxide, which is critical because we can't complain about climate change and then contribute to the change in climate. We have a responsibility to ensure that the decisions we make are helping our farmers in the long run. And this is just one of the projects that we have done. You would have heard the NIC has already installed solar renewable energy systems across 11 of its facilities.
Kemon White, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break. More local stories when we return.